Hi, welcome to Misty Moons. Good morning. It's early. The sun isn't even up, and it won't be up for another couple of hours, but it is 6 o'clock-ish. And it's the middle of winter in the mountains, and there's plenty of snow. When you live in a wintry mix, in a wintry environment, it's almost doesn't matter what time of the day you start to function because it's cold, and more cold. And it's hard to go outside because it's freezing. And altogether, white stuff, slippery, the usual. Sometimes the usual has a lot of meanings in terms of the way people think, just like I just expressed how I felt about winter. Now, that's just winter, the climate. The climate of words, too, also has an atmosphere of its own in terms of activities. Warfare is one of them. Warfare. Now, people go to war because they want something that somebody else has, or they want the power. The power. Power in itself is an intoxicating experience. I can make you feel any way I want to. I think that's one of the strange flexes, environments, attitudes of being human. But is it high or is it low energy? High energy or low energy? Warfare is low energy. And sometimes we just get consumed with that. Today we're going to take a trip that only the cosmos knows the real realities of. So once again, relax. Think about the planet rolling around in the universe with many billions of other energies, beings, thoughts, frequencies. When you take that expansive thought pattern, feelings, let's come back to our planet and think about the state of where our planet is at. The low energy, this strange reptilian low energy feelings that we've been encased in, that we are experiencing. Now, today we're going to think about what's happening in Mexico. We're going to think about why. What is it? Suspicious. Why should all the time Mexico has been a quiet, self-contained country? Of course, their activities are all being exploited. Quiet in the sense that it's self-contained, even though its people came and went elsewhere. And that has been discussed quite a bit. Now, to say you're Mexican to some people sounds like, ugh. Other people, it sounds like, ah, hola. And in this country, we have an aversion in the United States of people from Latin America. We seem to think that they are not quite there, right? We're not even looking at our own people that aren't quite there, whatever there may be. And we can assume that there is actually being controllable. Now, we think about what's happening in Mexico. Mexico right now is in chaos, total chaos. And since it's right above the United States, we have a borderline. The United States and Mexico has a borderline with each other. Then maybe something more is at hand. President Trump has expressed a desire to manage things in Mexico, as well as other places in South America and other places in Central America and North America, Canada, etc. President Trump and the Trump administration has this rebirthing, renaissance, re-envisioning the North American Federation, right? And to have a North American Federation, Mexico is part of it, part of it. And you'd think that this disturbance, first it was drugs, drugs, drugs. Drugs have been the driving force for all the hostilities going on in between the United States of America and Mexico and Venezuela. Now, that's one thing we have a state of kinetic flux going on. Let's just call it kinetic flux. And it just seems to be the timing seems a little suspicious. Does it seem suspicious to you? I mean, something doesn't fit right. Something sounds. Wait a minute. What is this? Wait. I mean, right now in Mexico, usually this is spring break. Spring break. That college students, people, just they go down to Mexico. They have a real good time, and now all of a sudden, we find out that there's like cartels against the army, the Mexican army, fighting each other. Now, this situation has been building for quite some time. And the United States has been bombing. It's been happening before even the United States started bombing Venezuela. The drugs, the drugs, the drugs, the drugs. Even though the United States is a very liberal drug policy. And if you have enough money, you can also bail out and get your drug sentence, as already has happened, commuted. Going back to the United States having a drug problem, we've seen the United States is cities are in decline. People are living in cardboard boxes. There in many cities, they have intravenous drugs. In fact, they have intravenous drugs to lose weight. Of course, that's already put through the pharmaceuticals. But the whole point of the matter is everyone has some sort of synthetic and natural inclination or natural beverage or cocktail that is on either side illegal or legal. And that's a whole other issue of why the United States is so drug happy. It has a lot to do with opportunities. It has a lot to do with trust issues. If you trust your people, they have no reason to astral project themselves to other places. If they're raised correctly, educated correctly, people enjoy being part of an active, healthy society. That's another thing that we are not here to talk about exactly. We're into the ways of power, the ways, the avenues, the alleyways, the highways to power. And again, think of the whole North American alliance. Now, that wasn't just spurred out to be a little barf, a little, hiccup. That was engraved, an engraving, the North American alliance. Once again, we have the timing. Now, there's certain areas in Mexico that are very popular with the Americans, the North Americans, the American people, right? I mean, you have what are the names of that? Well, the very parts of the country of Mexico right now having all its discord and fighting. Those are the areas that are having their bombings and their warfare right now. And that sounds a little peculiar, doesn't it? For years and years, Americans have flocked to Mexico for the cheaper lifestyle. And of course, when you have people coming in they have more money than the locals have, that makes prices go up. And that makes food go up. That makes housing go up, right? And of course, the locals have not been so happy about that. Maybe you want to call it gentrification. The prices go up. So you haven't had a lot of amor, a lot of love, a lot of simpatico. you've had a lot of hostility. In fact, before it used to be, you can come to, if you were an American, you can come to America as long as you had like, $50 or $75,000 in the bank, and you had an income coming in, besides having that cash savings. Well, that hasn't ended very well. The greed and the necessary of having well-heeled or at least comfortably Americans come in has displaced a lot of Mexicans. So they have been like, reversed their policy just before this warfare, this cartel. Now they call them cartels, and they call themselves, I guess, cartels. Warfare going on right now. And they have asked that the Americans leave. A lot of Americans with too much money, too much this, too much comfort, rising up the food, the prices of basic food items, have been kicked out. Kicked out. Go home, go home, go home. So it's kind of backfired. It has not kind of. It has backfired. Americanos are no longer welcomed as they once were. And that's something to keep in mind, right? And you have to imagine, too, what are those Americanos doing in Mexico? You say they're living their lives. Yes, some of them are, and some of them are there for other reasons. The CIA is very popular. The CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, has a lot of branches. In fact, they've been quite busy since Trump has started his war against narcotics that he says the Mexicans bring in. Now, to something to bring in, there has to be a demand, right? Demand. And we have a lot of mental health drugs in the United States that are legal. And we also have dispensaries that's so-called legal. And it hasn't been a very good thing because we have a society of very crippled people. And you could say, oh, the benefits of taking drugs, just say drugs, pharmaceuticals, outweigh the bad things, addiction, demoralization, and a whole bunch of weakness. Does drugs make weak people? Drugs, whether they're legitimately obtained through the medical societies or illegally through dealers, put it that way. Or there's actually right now, there are legal dealers. We have a very drug-infused society. And this is right now. This is the present. So we have set the environment to where it is. And that's, again, the CIA with the help of the Mexican government, Claudia Sheinbaum, they have produced to Donald Trump 100 cartel leaders to stand trial in the United States. Now, all this including a lot of bigwigs, of course, not just small fry. Now, the Mexicans aren't particularly happy. You have to keep in mind, you have what stays in Mexico what happens in Mexico should stay in Mexico. I mean, everyone has just like what happens here stays here in terms of retribution, in terms of justice. But, however, when another country steps in with their secret police, their secret investigators, this is not sitting well for the Mexican people. And right now they're duking it out, bombing and just going crazy. And you have the army against the people. And the army is aided by special forces of the United States, the SEALs, the Navy SEALs, their trainers. I mean, when you offer assistance from another country, the country is participating in it, in your warfare. Now, the United States isn't about to clean up Mexico's act and leave Mexico alone. I don't really see that. Do you ever see someone get something and then give it up freely? It's hard to, because they love the taste of power. power. And of course, the All American North American Alliance. So let's start this reading about what is the United States objective in this guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare is just not calling it war, but it's called, it's called guerrilla warfare. We'll just use that term. There's a lot of secrecy going on, a lot of secrecy, trying to centralize the power. Now, what are the objectives of the United States? What are the objectives of this United States involvement? Now, even saying that you better clean up your act or I will clean it up for you, being forced to do something, it may be a good thing and it may not exactly turn out the way that you perhaps feel it should. And of course, when you have a small group of legislators, they don't represent the people in terms of infiltration, in terms of directives. I didn't ask for that, or maybe you did ask for that. So all these things are, we have to ask why, if it was so great, then it should be peaceful right now. And then we have this decentralized cartels, decentralized, fighting it over. And the press in the United States says it's for top dog position. Who is going to be the leader? Instead of feeling the heart of the people of Mexico, right? They know that something is going on. You can sense when something is not stated, right? Something is not stated. And you have the army, the Mexican army, fighting against individual power racketeers, power groups. And that's unusual for Mexico. Of course, you've always had incidences, as well as you have incidences. I'm not putting any type of value or high interest, low interest, or diminishing or enhancing. I'm calling them incidences of power structures. Power struggles go on endlessly. Some countries put it to a democratic or socialistic venue. Power is always, it depends upon the small group rules the larger group. Now, the larger group is easy to rule if they had food, they have enthusiasm, they have outlets. But when they start to be hungry, when they start to be cast out of their dwellings, then you have a lot of mixed emotion, don't you? Don't you have a lot of mixed emotion? So let's see. What is the objectives of the United States? Could it be? Could it be? What could it be? Let's see. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. Now, this is just trying to understand what is and what isn't in store for the southern neighbors, the southern border. The first thing we get is the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups. They have a plan. They have a plan. The plan, things are working out quite well for the United States guerrilla warfare in Mexico. They have chaos. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for the plan, the objective. It's not because they want Mexicans to be happy. Power doesn't operate in terms of happiness. Power is having. So, the next card we pulled So you get a hint. We have the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords. Now the Four of Swords. A timing card, in a way. A timing card. The Four of Swords. Yes. Wait and see. Wait and see. Just allow the chaos to continue. We have the Ten of Cups and the Four of Swords. In other words, if Mexico becomes perhaps too chaotic, it could be a danger. Too chaotic. If it becomes unpredictable, predictability is an essence for control. The next card we have, the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles. It's almost like the Highlander. There can be only one. Only one way is a safe way. Predictability, cohesion. That is something that is to be strived for. Predictability, power, centralization. Centralization is almost, if you can centralize a group of people, then you will have certain people that you would give their certain privileges to, certain handouts to, and they in turn would be assured that it's almost like a feudal system, warlords, the king, the barons, the vassals, the serfs, the peasants, the masses, right? The power structure, the triangle, the sun. Look at all this. Now the objectives are pretty clear. The objectives seem to be, with the Ten of Cups, the Four of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, and the Sun. Having a predictable, well-organized Mexico. Predictable and organized according to Anglo Norteamericana way, is the requirement, is the goal, is the objective. And then, but, now that's the objective. That we could see that all this turmoil is to have the predictable way. However, it's an element that we have not really touched upon. It's the masses, the serfs, it's the class, the majority of the people. They are fighting because they can feel that their identity, and you can say, what is their identity? They're Mexicans. However, their identity is being filtered, reinvented. And you see this military scene when you're controlling and changing people. You don't get rid of the military just like that. So you're having, again, in this society, a militarization of the people. And what does that do? That does one thing. One thing it does. It makes a hostile environment. Guns, uniforms. Now, do you think it's only going to stay in Mexico? Mexicans aren't stupid. Mexicans are not stupid people. They realize what's going on. And then they, in turn, will send their forces. If you come to our country and you're blowing this up, X, Y, and Z, then why shouldn't they just slip over to the border, slip over to the border because Mexico and the United States, Estados Unidos, they lie side by side. Side by side. They can slip over and turn, what is that place right now? Puerto Vallarta into the same, what they're doing in that beautiful resort area. They can do it the same thing through Atlantic City, New York, LA, any other American place. It's still intact relatively. They can turn that into a scene in Mexico. And then we have, you see the agitation? We agitate one group of people, then a few of them slip over. If they can slip drugs, and they can slip this, they can slip that, and they're well armed enough to take on their own army, they have the equipment. Why can't they come into the mainland of the United States and put a little of their spicy, horrible conditions into the United States? The horrible conditions of what's going down there. So then that would make militarization a militarized continent, right? Mexico, United States, we have the immigrants. See where it's going? See where it's going. Now we have to ask, is this what's really going on? Is this camps, a change, peaceful change? No, not really. It's just more fuel, more dynamite, more scenarios, more headache, more fear, more this, more that. And of course, all this means more control, more authoritative control, more Hunger Games societies, right? More Hunger Games, more control, more military. Now, who controls the military? You, I, the mayor? Do we have martial law? Martial law, the whole damn place. Martial law. And this is being slowly triggered. Slowly triggered. Now, we have American citizens in these areas of dispute right now that's happening. They have no food. They cannot do this. They cannot do that. It's war. So they're stuck. And of course, vengeance. Their lives can be snuffed out very easily. Right? It can be snuffed out by any sort, any side. You're in the collateral damage, as they say. Collateral damage. You see where this is going, everyone? Martial law, chaos. The United States steps in. The United States is not about to let Mexico go like poof, 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 without being involved in it. And since the United States is bigger than Mexico, and they've already had their Debbies, their sights on Mexico, it's a perfect scenario, isn't it? Let's just ask the spirits, it is quite possible that this is the real objective. This is a way to take over Mexico. Let's just see. We're going to use the dragon cards, the dragon vibrations, because this is one of serpent energy, one of the way of power, the way of want, must have. Now we're dealing with a global leadership that is quite ruthless. We're being attacked. Citizens are being attacked if we let them, of course, on many levels. We're having many things to think about, and we have a huge, vast amount of people all over the planet who don't want to think, who don't want to be, who just don't want any hassle. But of course, life is a hassle. Everywhere you turn, there's someone trying to do you up? Do you over? It's possible. It's not possible. It's happening for some reason. And we could find out this reason. We've already gone into some of it. Turned upside down. Wait a second. Let me see. I think I put everyone the other way. No, I don't like to deal with inverts. The first one we have is the Two of Coins. The Two of Coins. Do unto others as you wish them to do unto you. We can very well see terrorists coming from one place, from Mexico to the United States, to give some of the good stuff that is happening in Mexico to the United States because they have a grudge against the United States. And a lot of Mexicans, it just didn't happen overnight. No, they've had it for a while because when the Americans came there with their dollars, USD, they were able to raise the prices of food, lodgings, and everything else. So much so, Americans have been already despised for the most part. For the most part. Even if you do know, it's been intact for years, that as a scientist you cannot come into the country with your lab, a functioning laboratory. Same thing with artists. An artist can't come with a collection of their own work. It's part of their laws. Why? Art and science. Artists and scientists, back off. But now it's everybody who has more than the local citizens. So, if you wish to spread chaos, this is a chaotic Two of Cups. Good for you is good for them. Thank you for the likes. Next one we have is the Queen of Coins. The prize. The prize. The power. The power. The power. I own this. I own this, batches. I own this. Bend the knee. Game of Thrones. The power. The Queen of Coins. Earth. This land is my land. This land is our land. And I'm the boss. Boss. And this is also part of the giving. If you wish to give bad stuff, do unto others. It goes to you too. The Queen. If we're in hell, you're going to be in hell too. There's lots of room. That philosophy. 6 of Wands. 6 of Wands. 6 of Wands. Lots of fire. Lots of things happening. Lots of things happening. Hello. Yes, there's lots of things happening. Very, very kinetic situation. Beware. They want to come. They will come. They're here. They're here already. This is something that wasn't planned overnight. This is something that has meticulously, over and over and over again, been planned and thought out. It was just waiting for action, inaction, enactment. 6 of Wands. Next card we get about the retaliation. What do we have here? The Lovers. Ooh, the Lovers. Almost like a betrayed lovers. Or a kind of love that nobody else can have you but me. A kind of obsessive love. Obsessive love. The Lovers. We can see, even though what's happening is all about greed, it's all about wanting, needing, because they want it. I want it. I must have it. Objective of the United States guerrilla warfare in Mexico is to create enough chaos. And it is pretty chaotic right now. And of course, when that chaos extends itself to the United States, and they'll take credit for it, they will take credit because something is at stake. Portions have already been divided. Who gets what, where, and how much? And it's being thought that only the cartels are fighting among themselves for power. Will a house divided, can it stand? Can it stand? If you cut a house inside in portions, can it stand as a house? Or it just becomes a condo and the bills must be paid. And to pay those bills, you have the Six of Wands and you have power. Things are being changed. Once this is started, it is not about to end anytime soon. Anytime soon. Retaliation is a powerful drug. Is a powerful drug. Fire is cheap, plentiful, burning. Chaos? It's easier to be chaotic than it is to be constructive. February 28th. February 28th. There's something very, very, we have 8 days. The climate is being set very, very, it's very tense right now all over the world. We have 8 more days or 7 more days before Trump says to Iran, watch out, do as I said. So people are just building up their animosity. And where are we? We're looking in the 3D world and we're seeing things that can't contain itself. However, we see ourselves under cosmic energy, cosmic power, cosmic 4D and 5D realities plus. And then we wonder why this implosion of emotions, of destructive energy is so powerful. It can't be contained. Why? You could say it's because in the United States, release of the Epstein files all over the world is being felt. And then we realize that powers, it's a small group of people, and they're doing things to make themselves diverse. They're diversifying their portfolio, so to speak. So as though certain things are containable, but the cat's out of the bag. The message is clear. We know what's happening. And that's part of the solution, or part of the medicine, is knowing what the objectives, the methods are. Just like you see a whole bunch of people around you that are doing drugs, just because they're doing drugs, it doesn't mean that you must do the drugs as well. Or a whole bunch of people being browbeaten, it doesn't mean that you must feel that as well, or that you must cause them to feel you must bully them, because then you will be browbeaten, because that is another quagmire of frequency training, frequency deliverance. Where will it end? We know that it's not going to even be an end in sight until they're back at you, back at you, back at you. And the people that love, that feel comfortable in a low energy, low vibration bigotry on are plentiful right now. It's their time, they said. We've been quiet. It's time for us to launch our thing. Our thing. This is the time. Something, something, something. We're in a power struggle. Essentially, that's what it is. And then we're reviving certain things are quite useless. Certain things are quite useless because it's bigger than just country against country. Now, go outside and look up into the heavens. See what is really happening. Feel yourself at a oneness with this planet and see, feel, dream, sense. Raise yourself up. And you could see very well what is being channeled. And you could choose to be a part of it or not to be a part of it. Just like you see those drug dealers, people buried in dream worlds, filth and and sadness. You could be one of those people. Or you could just go, or you just walk away. Because you can't save the unsavable. People have to be willing to help themselves. They have to be willing to be brought to the cosmic energy of the universe. And if they're not ready, they're not ready. And then you have to realize some may never be ready. Never be ready. So don't fall in line with propaganda of either side. Understand where the system, what is the system? You will own nothing and be happy? Except the people saying that have everything and they can't get enough. Can't get enough of you and ours misery, for one thing. Yes, there's a lot of things going on. Just think about it. Think about it. A lot of people aren't materialistic as other people are. A lot of people don't care if they have a new car, they have this, they have that. Some people don't care if they have an education. Some people feel if they don't have or read every book that comes out in their interests, that they're missing out. It depends upon the society and what is being perpetrated, what is of value. And just because a country is losing its values, whichever any country may be, does not mean that you have to go down that slide, that swing towards where some media personages are telling you this is popular, this is what's happening. Keep in mind. Well, I'll leave this reading right now for you to think about things on that level, to feel things on that level. Thank you for the likes. South America, Mexico, Central America, North America, Greenland, Ukraine, Palestine, Syria, India, Pakistan, Russia, England. What are we doing to each other? What is really going down? And then we think of the non-humans. What are the humans doing? Are the humans showing that they cannot govern themselves? That they need an alien, non-human presence? So right now we have that going on. And that's the basis of the whole thing. And then we think of the puppets who say we will control, control, control. Or how about it just cutting off, limiting, limiting? Be authoritative, do as I say. Do what I want you to do. I'll leave this message